when they're shooting jump shots, they're not very good. They're not a very good jump shot shooting team at all, especially from three. But Southern Cal, you know, I don't know. I don't know if USC is going to be able to stop the penetration against them. It's a lot like Oregon. Then on the defensive end, they're going to shut shit down on that end. Honestly, you know. You get the coach from Florida Gulf coach now back in. People might think that that's great when he made that march to the Sweet 16 as a 15 seed, but you look at the Trojans. I think they're the only team with six players averaging double-figure scoring. One of two major conferences overall, Iowa State being the other one. You look at Jacobs' assists on 30% of UC's made baskets. Only Oregon State's Peyton, who we talked about earlier, is better. Providence is shooting 41% from the floor this season. Only St. John's is worse than that in the Big East. And at least 24% of the possessions use Bentel, whose 113 offensive rating is the best in the Big East. And this kid, he's got to get Most Improved Player of the Year, this kid Bentel. All right, because he wasn't who he was last year. Trust you me. Chris Dunn, best point guard in the country, in my opinion. I think, who else agrees with me here? Who's doing this one? I don't know, but I agree with it. I think Providence should find a way to beat USC, but I'm not positive. This is another coin flip game. Best gambler with some good numbers. Queen City Reps. Best gambler is Charlotte? Not sure. Yes. Oh, yes. He is from Charlotte. USC struggles against talented big men, who they are, in cuttering off in the Pac-12. Trojans allow 14 double-doubles per game. Rebounds 2015. That grabbed only 50 more boards than their opponents all season. Yes, and when you're down by 20, and teams just don't care anymore, how many junk rebounds did they get then? I like looking at first half stats when you see that. How much did they rebound teams in the first half? Either way, it's still, I wouldn't be surprised either way which way that goes. Let's see, next one. Indiana at Chattanooga. You look at the Hoosiers, they left corner shooters open against Michigan and lost. Bad move. Indiana, capable team, I guess. Yogi Ferrell, one of the one player that can take over a game. They score close to 120 points per 100 possession. That's the most efficient in the nation. Pretty close to Kentucky though, depending on how you look at it. Ferrell 17-5 on pace to be the only Indiana player ever to average at least 15-5. For a season over the past 20 years. He's the all-time leader in assists. I guess they're a dangerous team, I guess. But, you look at Chattanooga, I like them. And, Andrew Lang also likes them. Indiana, they can score. They did lose Blackman prior to conference play with an ankle injury to Robert Johnson. It makes Yogi Ferrell really have to come through. Could he? Sure. But Blackman and Johnson combined to shoot nearly 45% from three-point range. So take that out, which frees all kinds of space for Ferrell to operate. Without Blackman and Johnson, the Hoosiers can struggle to score without them. And Chattanooga does defend. The Mocs got a huge guy down below, defensive player of the year, provides most of the rim protection for that team. The squad, which is littered with upperclassmen, as Lang says, littered with upperclassmen. Had some of the best defensive numbers in the SoCon. The Big Ten schedule was favorable for Indiana, as you know. They didn't have to really do much on the road, but Indiana won the regular season title because everyone else fucking faded, basically. That's what I'm going to say. But they did commit to defense. Not a great unit by any stretch. And, Kentucky, Indiana is supposed to be set up, but Kentucky would fucking kill them. The Mocs do a wonderful job. I think it's one of the best in the country as getting to the line. And Indiana is prone to fouling. How about this? The Mocs, get to the free throw line 27 attempts per game in league play, and they shoot 75% from the free throw line. Okay, um, they're experienced. They beat Georgia. They beat Illinois and Dayton. They can hang around here, guys. They can hang around. You got Indiana at 10. 12-5 upset. Watch out, guys. Watch out with that one. Kentucky at Stony Brook. Do we need to talk about this one, honestly? Let's talk about something here. And I'm going to tell you what. We've been doing well with these totals with Kentucky, right? 6 players suspended from SC game tonight. Wow, really? 9 players average at least 6 points per game. Yeah. For Chattanooga. 6 players suspended for the SC game tonight. Is that true? What? I gotta hold on a second. 6 players. I gotta see where this line goes. Wasn't that a double-digit line or something? South Carolina is favored by 16. The line hasn't moved. I gotta see this for myself. Not that I don't believe you, but I mean, if that's the case, I mean, High Point's fucking terrible, but still, it could be worth a shot. Yeah. I don't know. I'll take your word for it, but until I see something further. You talk about the Kentucky game. It's always difficult to gauge, how good these other teams are because they play in shitty conferences. The lack of strength of schedule wasn't Stony Brook's fault, obviously. They keep putting wins up, but no one wants to play them. That's the problem. They took Vanderbilt to overtime in Nashville, lost to Notre Dame. In South Bend. Stony Brook has talent. Wannery is one of the best all-around players in the country and earned American East Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year each of the past 2 years. Think about that. All right, he's a pro. They got a guard who is going to have to cover Ulis, so good luck. But he was all-conference in defense. So, back in January, Kentucky's biggest problem was outside shooting. The ability was there, but I think at time was needed to adjust to Coach Calipari's offense. Once roles became defined, the Cats started to knock down threes and went from shaky to dangerous in the half court, really. In the end, Kentucky shot 39% in the SEC play and 47% in its 3 wins in the tournament. The problem I see with Stony Brook is trying to compete with an undersized 6-man rotation. Kentucky can throw 3 or 4 taller players on Warner, and Ulis can neutralize the other kid. I will, I'm going to leave that part out. They can they're a good, solid, well-coached team that doesn't make too many mistakes, I'm going to tell you this. It's one of those where Stony Brook could grind it out and Kentucky could have some trouble shooting. They had a big run through the tournament. They got to travel. They got to play on Thursday. There's a lot of things going against this team as far as, effort-wise, how much energy they're going to have to get through this. You want to tend to look towards the under at 144, okay? I think that could be a spot for them. And if, let's see, if my buddies listen out there, write that down for us, will you? Hold on, let me write this down. This is one thing I actually don't have written down, but after reading what I just read, and I think it makes a lot of sense, Andrew Lang also likes this under. All right, we'll write that down. Take a look at that later. So that's something to think about there. Best Gambler mentions, according to official statement from the athletic department, Blayton, Cobb, Genry, Silva, Stroman all have been suspended indefinitely from the team due to conduct issues. Wow. South Carolina's who's suspended. So those are the players. So why? Somebody give me one reason why not to bet bet against South Carolina? Is it a move to get these young guys playing in sort of some early practice time? Because you got to understand the one thing: as much as these teams and coaches don't want to be playing in these smaller tournaments, the longer you're in the tournament, the longer you can practice. Once the tournaments are over, you have to NCAA rules. You got to shut down practice till next season, until springtime games and all that shit. But these coaches want to practice as much as possible. Correct? Correct. So I don't know if this is a ploy by South Carolina here to try to get some playing time in for these guys, if it's like some head game he's playing. But you know what? I'll take the fucking bait at 16.5 points. I'll take high point with a small play as I put it in right now. I'll take you guys' word for it. Fuck it. 16.5, right? Let me go on red and do this too. So that's that. Next one. What's the next one we got to talk about here? Hold on. Let me put this in. Sorry, guys. I don't know what time it is, but, it is what it is before I forget. South Carolina, 16.5. Let's see. 100. 200. Oh, I got to put it in for you, too, but all right. 200. I'll do that for now so I don't forget. All right. Next game. Notre Dame at the Michigan-Tulsa game. That Michigan-Tulsa game is an interesting one. Tulsa plays the card where they shouldn't be, and they'll play that disrespected card, obviously. We'll see how that goes. I'd like to see Michigan get by and play Notre Dame. It's sort of set up. I like to see the big schools play. You look at Notre Dame, they turn over the ball 14.8% of the time. That's the fewest in the ACC. They do a great job with that. Notre Dame, when they get their head on straight, they can score. One of the best offensive efficient teams in the country. And if you look at that stat, offensive efficiency, meaning points per 100 possessions, if you click on the top 30, and I will say this, when it comes to upsets in this tournament, 35% of the upsets in the first round, 35%, that's a lot, 1 out of every 3, comes from a team that's ranked in the top 30 in offensive efficiency for the year, okay? So you look at that. So what are some teams that are underdogs, right, because it would be an upset, that rank in the top 30 in offensive efficiency? That's what you got to look for, right? I don't know. Is St. Joe's an underdog? Are they considered an underdog? They're right outside the top 30, along with Pittsburgh right outside. But you get into the top 30, Gonzaga, ranked 24th. I think they're getting points. That would be an upset. Purdue's not. Butler, I think Butler and Gonzaga playing. So, you got to look at that. I don't know if that sort of washes itself away this year, but something to think about going forward. Actually, it's the first 2 rounds, so it's something to think about. Just outside the top 30, Michigan, 35th. So, something to think about there. Vandy's in there too, between 30th and 40th. But the Irish don't defend the 3 good, and that would keep Michigan. That would help Michigan if they played them. I agree with you, and we'll get into that one as we go. West Virginia, Stephen F. Austin, interesting one. Not much to talk about there. Let's face it, West Virginia should take them down. Wisconsin, Pittsburgh, Badgers had some difficult matchups with Hayes and Happ. Pittsburgh, very good offensive team, and 2 great wings who create matchup problems. Against a Pittsburgh team that struggles to defend. And I think they could take some advantage. They could take advantage of that. Pittsburgh, very inconsistent. Rarely does the Panthers play a game where one facet is really good while the other is dreadful. That's how they usually play. Not rarely. I apologize. And it's made this team a nightmare to handicap. You just can't do it. I haven't been involved in more than 1 or 2 Pittsburgh games. 32 games into the season. You still don't know what you get. In Wisconsin, interim coach Guard made some minor tweaks, less threes, more emphasis on attacking the basket after Bo Ryan left, but overall still slow, boring Badgers team. It's crazy that they went 11-1. I agree. There is some talent in Wisconsin. It took teams should, they're not 11. They shouldn't have went on an 11-1 run. the core is still there. The ideals are still there, much like in UConn after what's his name left. Uh, but you never know. You don't know what you're gonna get, and this is a coin flip game. Good luck with that one. Jeff says, "Big time bracket breakdown ATS Wednesday evening at 8." There you go.